So I was thinking about the false flag theory that Mossad knew that Hamas were going to invade and they just let it happen, and how mad that is, because people are incompetent. Mossad cock up all the time. They're completely incompetent. They're a bunch of clowns, really. For instance, you probably remember after the Second World War, Israel decided to assassinate all the Nazi war criminals, and their hit rate was actually 3 out of 12. Like, they discovered Brunner, who was Eichmann's assistant, lived outside Damascus, so they sent a man to the post office in Damascus with a letter bomb, and the man behind the desk said, you can't post that here, mate, it hasn't got a return address. Because that's the last thing you want when you're posting a letterbox, is for it to need a return address, so that someone can write on it, return to sender Nazi unknown, no SS man for this bomb. So they had to think of somewhere that the bomb could return to, where someone would know it was a bomb and not to open it and all of that. But eventually they did get the bomb out to him, and it didn't kill him. So they decided to try again, but of course he'd be expecting another letter bomb. So they had to think, well, where can we send it from that he won't suspect? And they discovered that he was subscribed to a neo-Nazi magazine that came out of Austria. So they discovered the postbox in Austria that this was post from, and they sent someone out there with another bomb to put through the postbox so that the franking marks on it would look believable as a neo-Nazi magazine being sent from Austria, although it was actually a bomb. But they hadn't measured the size of the hole in the postbox, so it didn't fit in, so they had to improvise and make it smaller, and then it didn't work again. And eventually, Brunner just died of old age waiting for these Mossad anti-Nazi letter bombs to arrive. And that's just how it went, because you think assassination's easy, and you just send in a load of men with guns, but that kind of alerts people. Like, they tried to rub someone out in Bolivia with guns, and the man had a Rottweiler, so that didn't go very well. The Mossad people just got bitten a lot, and then the police are alerted, so it's less likely to come off next time. So you have to think outside the box if you want to assassinate somebody. Like, they tried to kill Khalid Marshall, who was the Hamas man who won the election in 2006. He wasn't the man who started Hamas, that was a paraplegic bloke. And you have to give it to Hamas that while they do kill a lot of Israeli people, on the other hand, wheelchair access to public buildings in Gaza is now excellent. Now, they tried to kill Khalid Marshall with poison administered via the ear. Now, you're probably thinking, I haven't heard of many people being poisoned via the ear, and there's a very good reason for that. It's because it doesn't work. But, a poison tip umbrella had been tried before, and they couldn't get close enough to do his food, so somebody just said, well, I've got this great idea, we'll just shove it in his ear. But, of course, it didn't work. The slow-acting poison was meant to be fast-acting poison, but because it was administered via the ear and not into the bloodstream via the alimentary canal, it was so slow that he took weeks to start to die, and the King of Jordan started ringing up Benjamin Netanyahu saying, give him the antidote, because otherwise I'm going to war. I'm going to have a war with you. And Benjamin Netanyahu's like, no, go to war. I'm not giving him the antidote. And eventually Bill Clinton rang up Benjamin Netanyahu and said, look, leave it, mate. He's not worth it. This Hamas is not worth it. Just give him the antidote. It ain't worth your time, mate. I'll sort it out. There won't be any more trouble from Hamas. I'll sort them out. But that was one of their less ludicrous assassination attempts, actually. Probably the worst cock-up they did was Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein had an uncle who was his mentor, who was a bit round the bend, and had outlawed flared trousers into Tikrit because he had a leg fetish of some kind. So he was spray painting women's legs, so he had the police doing it. And if you wore flared trousers, he'd cut the bottoms off so he could spray paint them, or the police could spray paint them. It all went a bit loony. Even Saddam said, I've had enough of this, and sort of pushed him aside a bit. But Saddam was fond of him, and they knew Saddam would turn up at his funeral. So, because you can't send a body double to a funeral, so they decided what they would do is build a film set in a kibbutz that looked like the exact graveyard outside Tikrit, so that they could mount a fake funeral and it wouldn't go wrong because everyone had done their practice and they knew this time how not to cock it up. They practiced it over and over again. So they got one group of soldiers to play Saddam and his family going in jeeps to the funeral, and they got another load of soldiers to practice the actual assassination of Saddam's family, but it was so realistic, the film set, that they didn't realise it was play acting, and they shot the IDF men playing Saddam's family with 5 very big missiles, and 5 of them died. So the idea that the idea that Mossad have any idea what's going on is just laughable.